Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Unlock Tuesday live stream. My name is Jessie Lang, and I teach people how to buy 1 to 3 rental properties per month on autopilot. That is what I've been doing the last 3 to 4 years, and that is what our students are aiming for as well. So, I want to introduce Lizzie. If you don't know her quite yet, she's our student success. Lizzie, take it away.
Student success manager. There we go. I'll finish the sentence for you. My role is to make sure that all of our students have all of their resources, get them set up, and do all the fun day-to-day, keeping the wheels on.
Yeah. So Lizzie helps set up a lot of these live streams, and I get the privilege to come and just be a teacher. So it's really awesome. Today, we are talking about how to pay for real estate. These are super interactive live streams. I do have quite a few questions for you guys along the way that I want to hear from you. Bob says you do a great job.
Oh, Bob, we love him.
So good. Thanks, Bob. So we have some interactions along the way. I absolutely want to hear from you. If you have any questions about anything I say, please throw them in the comments, whether you are live or on the replay. If you are on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you're coming from, we'll get your questions answered. So let's hop into it. So how to pay for real estate. I do need to, of course, say that this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. I am sharing from my experience only and our students' experience. And so need to get that out there. And I want to highlight this is a really, really important topic. It's like the number one thing that I hear when we talk to, new students or talk to anyone is like, hey, I want to invest in real estate, but I'm not really sure how to pay for it. And then once you learn this skill, this is the number one superpower that you will have as a real estate investor. The ability to raise money to pay for your deals or source some of your own money is going to be what kind of takes you from like a hobbyist, maybe have a couple properties here and there, up to like a full-fledged housing provider, flipper, all that. So number one superpower. No one cares how many good deals you're looking at if you can't pay for them, right? And then once you learn this structure and you have this knowledge, you're going to have it for the rest of your life. It's magical. You learn it once and you have it forever. So, alrighty. I want to do a quick little mindset shift before we get into the kind of nuts and bolts. And so I want you to think about your friends and family, your personal network, but I want you to think further than that as well. I want you to think about all of the money that exists in this world.
Ouch.
Lizzie, how much money is in this world?
Too much. Infinite. The limit doesn't exist.
Yeah, the limit of the amount of money in this world does not exist. Okay, so if you think there's no money out there, I'm telling you flat out, respectfully, you are very wrong. There is a ton of money out there, and it is not hiding. It is seeking opportunities. Anyone with any amount of money knows that if you just have your money sitting in a savings account, it's not doing anything for you. So anyone with money is seeking ways to grow that money. So keep that in mind as we kind of go through this little reflection. Mm-hmm. The first house that I bought, I had $3,000 down. It was an owner-occupied house. I'll tell you a little bit about that story, but I had $3,000 down. I was in my early 20s. It literally was my life savings. My entire life savings, $3,000, bought me my first property that ended up being a rental property. So if you think that you need hundreds of thousands of dollars, I'll tell you that's also not true. And then there are hundreds and thousands of companies out there that were founded with no money. You hear, the Apple and the Microsofts and all these guys starting in their garages. Like, you think they had a lot of money? No, absolutely not. And they still found a way to get started. So why are you any different? Seriously, we're going to take 20 seconds I'm going to awkwardly sit here for 20 seconds while we all think about how much money is in this world and how you can raise some of it. Okay. So we're going to think about it. How much money is in this world and why can't you have some of it? I know it may seem a little silly, y'all, but I swear by this stuff. I swear I do this in my personal life, my professional life. If you can manifest something and become an attractor, like it makes your life a whole lot easier. Okay. I promise you that. So
you just need the Jeopardy music playing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. So now that you're kind of reset, reframed, that there's infinite money, why can't you have some of it? Let's hop into kind of where this money will come from. Troy says, hallelujah, absolutely. Yeah, all true. And y'all don't forget, this is super interactive. So if you have any questions, comments, Jesse, you're crazy, that woo-woo shit's not real. Oh, stuff isn't real. Then just let me know. I want to hear from you. Okay. So the first little section that we're going to talk about here is how you can actually tap into your own money. So we're going to go over 5 different ways that you probably already have some money or don't have it quite yet, but things that you could do to create it. So first is, let's go over 2 different types of money that you probably already have. If you own your own personal home and you've owned it for more than 1-2 years, then you probably have some equity. If you bought pre-COVID, you very likely have some equity in that property. So there is a product out there. It's called a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, and it is designed to let you borrow against that equity in your home. So the way that it would work is, say your personal home is worth $300,000. You do have a mortgage on it. Oh, thank you, Lizzie. You do have a mortgage on it. And so the mortgage in this example is, say, $200,000. So the difference between those is called your equity. And you have, in this case, $100K. $100K that's just sitting there. So what a HELOC will do is it will let you borrow against your equity. In this case, $100K. You can often pretty easily get up to 80%. There's some, different lenders that will do promos up to 95. I've seen up to 100%. That's a little bit risky. If you kind of stick in the 85, because then your house will be fully leveraged. So in this case, it would be $80,000 that you now have access to. And the really cool thing about a HELOC is you actually only pay the interest on the money that you're using. So if you have $80K on a HELOC, but you're not using any of it, your monthly payment is $0. Okay. If you're using $50K, I don't know what the math is on that. You'd have to know your interest rate, but you may have a $500-$600 payment every month, but you have $50K in a property that is bringing in income. So if you own your home, especially if you bought before COVID, you probably can tap into a HELOC. And we have tons of students using HELOCs as like down payments or even like outright purchases. Then we have a self-directed IRA. This is something that, you may already have an IRA for an employer, a 401k. We're saying self-directed because you actually need to be able to direct where that money goes. So if you, have ended that job and you can roll it over into a different custodian, I would recommend a self-directed custodian. Some really common ones are Equity Trust or Quest. I would say those are probably the 2 most popular like investor custodians who can help with this. You can only transfer on like qualifying events. So it would be if you get a job, if you switch jobs, or there's another list. But the key here is that the money can stay growing inside of the, trust. And then you can borrow against it and go out and buy real estate, or you can buy real estate outright. We do something very similar on my personal brokerage accounts. We have brokerage accounts that I've been investing in since, God, crazy to say, really before college. And I started out with like $50 a month kind of thing. And, they accumulate, the interest compounds and it grows. So we have some decent brokerage accounts. You can get a line of credit against those brokerage accounts. You can get a line of credit against your 401k, and then take that line of credit and go out and buy real estate. So you have your HELOC, you have a self-directed IRA or brokerage accounts. And that's like money you probably already have. But then there's some other options of like maybe money that you don't have yet, but is relatively easy to create. And so the first one I want to talk about is house hacking. And this is actually how I got started myself. Like I said, my $3,000 life savings got me into that first like crappy little condo that I owned. And I was renting out the rooms. This was before Facebook Marketplace. This was like Craigslist roommates.
Parents' nightmare.
Yeah, I know. I joke that my parents, they had no idea what I was doing. I had some Craigslist roommates. They turned out fine. They were all fine. And this is like nice and fun when you're young. But if you are, maybe a little bit older, or you don't want people living in your house, I totally respect that. You can house hack by buying a duplex and living on one side, renting out the other. You can house hack by buying a fourplex. I think it really only goes up to 4 before the banks like start asking a lot of questions. So you can buy 4 units, rent out 3, and live in 1. And then you're creating this money every single month with a very, very small initial investment, because you're often getting a low down payment. You're often getting preferred terms, because this is an owner occupied loan type. It's like the same as if you were buying your single family, but instead of a single family, you're buying multifamily. It's exactly how I got started. The first 3 properties that I ever owned, I was house hacking and turning the past one into a rental property. So you can actually create money just by living somewhere and having someone else pay your mortgage. It's like brilliant. Lizzie, would you ever get a roommate, house hacking roommate?
I have way too many dogs for that. Too many kids. Nobody wants to do that.
They would be a crazy person.
It would have to be like my brother is on the streets.
Yeah. That's how. Yeah.
Even that.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments if you have ever house hacked, and if it's something that you would consider doing. It's a brilliant strategy. I will say it's not a strategy if you want to scale quick, but it is one for kind of a like longer term wealth accumulation.
I think we would house hack like if we moved and we would just keep this house.
Right. Yeah. And then this could be on the table soon.
Yeah.
And then, so another type of money that you maybe don't have yet is rent to own options. If you are buying real estate and you don't have a down payment, and you can find a seller who is willing to let you pay over time, it is a brilliant way to get into real estate with very, very little money. So oftentimes there's maybe $10,000, $15,000 down, and then you pay as if you were paying rent. But instead of just paying rent, you are paying into ownership in that property. So, it can be very powerful. I will say it's not super common that you can find sellers willing to do this, but it definitely does happen. And I've had plenty of sellers that I have paid over time. We bought 10 condos with 0% down.
Wow.
And a 3.5% interest rate.
Cool.
Yeah. So I think my payment was $1,350 a month, somewhere around there.
Wow.
Interest only. That was 3 years ago. So rates were very different than they are now. The person who sold those to me is one of our best private lenders now, and I lend to him at 12%. So he's been paid. Don't worry, he's been paid. Times are a little different, and he So yeah, I know, Troy, 3.5%. I know, it's crazy. But it's possible. There are people out there who are willing to do this and let you, they're just done. They're done with the property and they'll let you pay them over time. So yeah, those are kind of different ways you can tap into your own money. Y'all let me know if you have any questions. And then I'm going to hop into ways that you can use other people's money, which is a little more, I'd say a little more common with most of the students that we work with, is using other people's money. Alrighty. So first and foremost, you have probably heard of this. Hard money lenders. Hard money lenders are the holy grail of real estate investors. They are super easy to get into. You know, a little bit higher interest on the interest side, because in a lender's point of view can be seen as a little bit more risky, right? Lending to an investor, lending to a LLC. But they're shorter term, higher interest lenders who are designed for you to rehab the property and then refinance out of it into like long-term money. So it's not designed to be long-term, but the beautiful thing is that they are perfect for the BRRRR method, because most of these lenders are going to cover 100% of your renovation cost. As long as you're all in between purchase and rehab is still under their set loan to value, 65, 75%. As long as you're under that, then they will lend you 100% of the rehab and 90% of the purchase. We say that it comes out, and I underwrite a ton of deals for myself and for my students. And we see that, you know, this structure comes out to about 8 to 15% down out of pocket. So you can use multiple strategies, because remember, raising money is your superpower. So if you know how to fit these all together, you're in even a better position. So you can use use hard money as your primary, and then you can actually raise the down payment. So even if for some reason you didn't have the 8 to 15% down, you can raise that from someone else. And we'll kind of get into who that could be. So that's hard money lenders. And if you guys want to know our exact lenders that we recommend, these are tried and true that I have worked with for the last 4 years. Comment lenders and we'll get that list over to you. And no strings attached. Happy to send that over. And then, okay, so like I said, you can actually raise that down payment if you need to. And that would come from either your own money or typically would be from a private lender. So these are your friends, family, neighbors, they're other investors, they're your coworkers, professional organizations. If you're a real estate agent, a lender, anything like that, they're going to want, so maybe you don't have money that you want to place, but they have money that they want to place, because remember, money is seeking opportunities. It's not hiding, it's seeking opportunities. So you can find someone who has a 401k, they have a HELOC, they don't want to do real estate for themselves, they want to invest in your project, right? So that would be a private money lender. There are some risks, okay? If you're working with friends and family, your relationship is on the line. If something goes wrong, that could ruin a relationship. And the way you can kind of reduce that risk is that you get really good at underwriting. You are in a program such as Rentals Made Easy, where you have my set of eyes, someone else's set of eyes who's underwriting these deals with you and for you. And so definitely really, really strong strategy to learn how to raise other private monies under other people's money. And then we have a partnership. Sometimes this is known as like a JV or joint venture. So you may have seen like, oh, who wants to JV on this? The idea is that you kind of are partnering with someone else to split up some of the responsibilities. So maybe you bring the deal and do a lot of the legwork, and then the other person brings the money, and then you split profits. So that is a very common structure of partnerships. This is not something that I do personally.
Why is that?
Because it never ends well.
Okay.
It's something that I have done in the past, but it is not something that I do or recommend. And everyone comes back at me. I am pretty vocal about this, and people come back at me and they're like, well, Jessie, would you rather have, 100% of a grape, or like, would you rather have the whole grape or part of a watermelon? And my answer is the whole grape. It truly is. I've just seen partnerships not go well too many times. So but that said, you may have someone in your life who is fantastic. I have a couple students that they borrow from an in-law. The in-law wants nothing to do with real estate. They just say, here's the money, bring me some profits, and there's really no complications, and it works really well. But again, same with, kind of other people's money. A partnership, depending who you're working with, that relationship could be on the line. So it's just something you can do. You bring the deal, someone else brings the money, and then you can get into real estate that way. And then we have seller finance. This is a little bit, it's like kind of similar to rent to own. So this is seller finance was how we bought those condos, and it's great. that's all I have to say.
Yeah. What is it?
So the idea is that the seller is the bank. Instead of me going to the bank, like I'm not going to a hard money lender. I'm not going to a conventional lender. I'm working directly with the seller. They're transferring the deed. Like I get the deed at the time of closing, and then they have a note on the property. They have a loan against the property. I'm sorry. Well, I've signed a mortgage that I owe them this amount of money. And depending on the terms, like, this last one I did was 3 years. I've done others for 1 year where it's designed to be kind of short term, and with the intention to renovate and refinance into longer term money. It's super cool. If you can get seller finance, that's awesome.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And then last but not least, we have crowdfunding. So this is kind of a more advanced strategy. It's not something that I have personally done, but I do think it's like pretty cool, and I want to bring it up. This would be probably more applicable on like bigger projects, portfolio purchases, small apartment buildings, any of that. There is a specific company. They're called TribeVest. TribeVest, like your tribe investor. I met them at Coin, which is a local real estate group that I am on the leadership for. I learned about crowdfunding this way. So TribeVest came in and they taught us, it's basically a tool where they are setting you up with a lot of the legal framework to help a small group of investors, friends, family, colleagues, pull all of your money together and invest in bigger projects than you might be able to individually. So it doesn't just have to be real estate, but that is going to be the most common. Yeah, Troy says crowdfunding. It's not something I've done. If you know what, y'all, if anyone here has done a crowdfunding project, please reach out to me because we would love to have you on a live stream. Yeah, we'd love to have you.
Or me. You can reach out to me.
Yeah, reach out to Lizzie. So those are kind of, just to recap, we have money that you already have from a HELOC, self-directed IRA, brokerage accounts, money that you maybe don't have yet, but you could be pretty easy. So house hacking, maybe some rent to own options, your W-2, your other active income. Obviously that goes without saying. If you are strict with your savings and kind of like I was starting about, $50 a month, like that's going to take a long time. But if you can get a couple $100 a month, may not take nearly as long as you think with that compounding. And then we talked about other people's money from hard money lenders, private money lenders, partnerships, seller financing, and even crowdfunding. Would love to talk to someone who's done that. So y'all, that's it. That's what I got for you. If you are like, Jessie, holy crap, that was a lot of information and I want to do this, but I have absolutely no idea where to even start. I'm hosting a workshop directly after this. It's 3:00 Eastern. Lizzie will drop the link in the comments, and I'm going to break down exactly the method that I use, we have 70 doors that I've grown in the last 3 years. And I'm going to teach the exact method that I use on how we've done that. And then we're actually doing something different on this workshop than I have ever done in the past. So even if you've been to a workshop in the past, it may be a good idea to come to this one because we got something really special for you. So if you want to join, it is not too late. You have time to go grab a snack, do whatever you need to do, send some emails, and we will see you at 3:00. Yes. Bob says JV. Absolutely. Yeah. JV. So that's like a partnership or joint venture. Any other questions, y'all, just tag me in the comments. I'll make sure that we get those answered, and I will see you next week. I'll see you on the workshop, hopefully. And if not, then I'll see you next week. See ya.